Dr. Brown Lanasanah. We also have Mr. Sam B. Cole, Deputy Executive Director for Administration. And we are expecting to have in studio Davidetta. She's the Fee Coordination Director. And of course, my name is Francis Pellinan. I have with me in studio a colleague from ECOWAS Radio, Seitikwa, who will be joined later on during the program by Clarence Jackson of Orchid FM. So we're taking a bit of the theme song. When we come back, we go strictly to the guest in studio to begin with the chairperson of Nec, Honorable Davidetta Brown Lanasanah, to give us an update as to what's obtaining ahead of the elections. Please, two of us, don't go away.
Black and Ziba will now dedicate this song to the Liberian people. After a period of 133 years of one-party system, it is the time.
Okay, welcome back to the program. Let's bring in my colleague, Seitikwa. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. It's good to be at, the nation's one, as you'd call it, right?
Yeah, Elbc.
Thank you.
All right, and we are also happy to have with us the chairperson, Honorable Lanasanah. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Francis.
Okay, Mr. Cole.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's start with you, Honorable Chair. Can you bring us up to speed as to where we are as far as the October polls are concerned?
Okay, we want to say good afternoon to all Liberians. By way of update, we'd like to say that we are happy for this election update program. And I will begin by saying that we have entered into an MOU, which was signed recently with some 37 community radio stations, and 7 of them, that is the Montserrado-based radio stations, to propagate messages from the National Elections Commission. And you, the Liberia Broadcasting System, is one of them. You are one of them. And we're now hosting this election in you every Thursday at 3 p.m. So we are gratified for this opportunity. Also, we wanted to say to Liberians that we know we have conducted biometric voter registration. We've had the nomination for the candidates. We also had a replacement of lost and damaged cards. Currently, we are engaged in training of our magistrates who will also train a temporary staff in the field that will be conducting the elections come the 10th of October. With respect to how well situated we are when it comes to funding, we say that we have received most of the 53 million United States dollars that was budgeted for the elections. Something close to 49.7 million has been received. And we anticipate that working with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, we will be able to receive the balance 3.2 million for these elections, which of course include a possible runoff of these elections.
Before you go further,
yes.
Would that have an impact on the process if you don't receive it in the meantime before going to the elections?
We do not endeavor to reach to the point where it will have an impact.
Okay.
We say we will do everything we can to get the balances, of the funding that are supposed to be part of the overall 53 million in time, because it should have happened like yesterday, far beyond the time that we are now. We should have received that money. But again, we continue to work with the Minister of Finance and Development Planning to ensure that this money is made available, because we have procurement that we are to undertake just in case there is a runoff, and we cannot afford to wait when the runoff is near or it's
before you start
before
making
we
those
start making
preparations.
those preparations. We have to do them now.
Okay, I'm sure we'll discuss more of that,
Mhm.
but just continue with the update.
Basically, this is what I really want to say as an update. We, of course, we have a lot of organizations and different countries and embassies coming into the country as observers. So far, we have we anticipate even more than 5,000 of them, to come to the country. So our political affairs section is like almost ready to receive these observers and to provide packages to help them in their observation missions to Liberia, one of which is the ECOWAS that we hosted today. And we provided information on the status of our process, as well as the EU. And then we expect ECONEC, that is the regional economic community, how do we call it? ECONEC. Can you imagine? I forgot this now.
The
Election.
ECOWAS
It's the
election?
network of election
authority.
commissions.
Okay,
Yeah. We
okay.
expect them also to be here. But also to tell you that in our funding situation, we made an appeal to the ECOWAS Commission here in Liberia, which was forwarded to the president of the ECOWAS Commission to assist the commission with logistics as well as capacity for our data and IT sections. So far, that amount is like 500,000 United States dollars, which is in the possession of the ECOWAS Commission. And then our procurement team and theirs are working together to provide specifications of what we need, and then they do the procurement and make that donation to the Elections Commission.
Okay.
Part of that is to give us some vehicles, and then to provide again the capacity for data and IT support.
And they've
for the
already
commission.
committed
Yeah.
to doing that.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about the roles of these international observers. How are you going to be working with them to ensure the elections are given that level of credibility?
Credibility of any elections rests with the Elections Commission first.
Okay.
And we prepare, we plan and everything. The funding is provided. We do the procurement. We set in place all of the mechanisms to conduct these elections. What the observers do is to observe what we have done first in our planning, to see whether in fact all of the needs are present, and then they deploy to the field to see whether the standards for conducting elections are in place. And by those standards, then the elections is judged as whether it is free, fair, and credible. So how we work with them is to ensure that they receive the information on the elections. We give them these packages of information. And of course, there are set rules as to how they observe, some of the do's and don'ts, the parameters with which they can observe these elections, to see whether they are created and how they participate. And then at the end of the elections, when we announce who the winners are, they can either attest that we are saying the truth, or they can attest by saying that we have not done, or we have not said the truth, and bring all of these different reasons why they think we did not conduct a good process,
Okay.
or that we conducted a very fine process.
Okay, great. And my colleague will come in later on, but let me just ask this question. You said the NEC is training the magistrates. Specifically, what is the training about? What are you, because the magistrates are crucial, almost like they represent the local body across the county and the inner hinterland. What specifically are you training them for? And secondly, how are they going to be crucial to the elections?
I will first start, and then my colleague who is in charge of field coordination will give you the specifics.
Okay.
We all the time, every elections that we have, the elections magistrates who have worked with the commission for some of them 11 years, 15 years, go through training for that specific elections, so that all of the different steps that they have been using to arrive at the final day, the final announcement, they get to go through those steps. It's important because sometimes we may forget some of the steps, or there will be some innovations as to how we proceed to conduct these elections. So that's the reason for continuous training of magistrates, even though they have been with us for between 10 to 15 years. My colleague can elaborate.
Okay, we've been joined by Madam Davidetta. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, and my apologies for coming late.
Okay.
Yeah, I've just come from the training of field staff.
Okay, so go ahead and provide additional information on that question.
Okay, so the chair already started the ball rolling. We have election is just a day's event, but there are several processes that lead to the event of election. And so magistrates are, like you said, the ones who actually conduct elections in the field. So at the level of headquarters, the policies are made and the different procedures are developed, but then the implementation actually goes on in the field. And so whenever we have major electoral activities, we bring these magistrates down and we conduct training. And just as the chair said, it's not that they don't know what they are doing, but it's just to enhance what they already know. And so one of such trainings is the one that is ongoing right now at the headquarters of the NEC. It's meant for regional coordinators, magistrates, and assistant magistrates as well. So they're going to be trained in the next 3 days. The training started yesterday. They're going to be there today, and tomorrow it ends. And basically, they have been trained on the polling and counting procedures. We had a new technology introduced to the BVR. Of course, that was something new, which they also had to be trained for. And then going to election, we're not going to do an electronic election though, but we may have some slight modifications on our procedures.
If it says slight modification, what are those?
So before, when you vote, of course, we were using the OMR cards, which was the co-laminates. We will perforate the cards. And this time, the cards are not going to be perforated. So they're going to have such information. Now, which finger it is to be inked, that's also a kind of information they need to have. And then just to remind them of the different functions of the polling staff on the polling day. So basically, that's what they've been trained for.
Okay, give us the chain from the magistrate to the presiding officer.
It's actually done in a cascade method. And so it begins with the county trainers, which we consider as a training of trainers. So they then in turn go back to the counties. And then the next phase in that case of training is the electoral supervisors. They're also going to be trained. The electoral supervisors also assist the magisterial teams in the conduct of training for the rest of the elections staff, and then as well as the conduct of the election itself. So that's how it's going to be done in a cascade method.
Okay, let me bring in Say Tikwa from Equaz Radio.
Thank you so much, Francis. I want to say good afternoon to the chairperson of the National Elections Commission. Madam Chair, let me first begin by asking you, it's 26 days remaining for the elections to be held. My first question to you is the National Election Commission fully prepared to host or to conduct these elections on the date that has been set aside for this election, which is October 10?
My answer to you is yes, we are fully prepared.
And my question comes from the backdrop of the funding that should be given to the National Elections Commission up to now. you are saying that 3.2 million still outstanding. So at what point in time will the money be given before these elections are held? And mind you, when elections are not held and things go wrong, and then people wonder what is happening. So I'm asking you, with the absence of 3.2 million, this is a big chunk of money that has not been given yet, which has a budget line. Tell me, how will you conduct these elections on October 10 when 3.2 at this time is not available?
I would say that the bulk of the money needed to conduct these elections has been made available to the Elections Commission. 49.7 plus million United States dollars, which come to us in Liberian and United States dollars. What we're saying is that should there be a possible runoff, we need to have this money so that we prepare all of our procurement processes prior to the date of a possible runoff.
Will you just update us completely on the materials that are being arrived? I understand that there are some materials, be it sensitive materials or other materials, that tell us about them. Which of them are in the country for now?
I would have my colleague there to say much about that.
Okay, so we started receiving materials, basically the ballot boxes, because in time past, it's been a while, in fact, since the commission procured ballot boxes. We've always recycled the boxes from years past. So because they've become brittle, and we decided to, have new ballot boxes for these elections. And so those are in country already. We have some, in fact, our materials are procured both nationally and internationally. So we have those basic administrative forms that we should be working with. We've also been delivered, and we are using some of those forms right now in training for our field staff. We also have a couple of assorted items coming country and more to be arriving soon.
What about the sample ballot? Because people need to know their candidates before they can go to the polls.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we have we are training our magistrates with that. We have the sample ballots, as we have the mock ballots. So those ones are already arrived. We also have the tactile ballot guides, that sleeves that are used by visually impaired persons. So those ones have also been delivered in country, and they are being used for training right now.
And let me also add that the political affairs section, which is basically responsible for distribution of these sample ballots, have said that those know your candidate ballots are being distributed already to the candidates, presidential, senatorial, and representative. So they are receiving.
Good. So you also talk about training, Francis, and these sample ballots, the people have to be trained on how to mark them, because one of the crucial things that we've heard about time immemorial is this, invalid ballot papers. There's so many, and then you have set up a plan using cell groups, but the marking of the ballot papers have the people of Liberia with the incoming, new voters. Have they been informed or, told how to mark these ballot papers? Because sooner or later, the whole issue of not wanting invalid may likely be the case at the end of the day if the new voters who are in their thousands, if they don't know, even those who have been voting, sometimes they make the same mistakes.
So my colleague, Mr. Cole, Sam Cole, can provide more information on this.
Thank you very much, Seyu. That question is mainly civic and voter education issue. The chair just said that the sample ballots are being distributed, and how we do it is also in the casket form. So we issue certain quantity to the candidates and parties, and then they are they go back and multiply, and then start to show their supporters how to mark the ballot. Additionally, the commission also have 81 civic and voter education cells. They are based at the grassroots level, community level. So those are community-based organizations that the commission is partners, especially the Elbc and partners are empowering to do civic and voter education at the grassroots level.
Have they started already?
Oh, they've been in the field ever since. Okay. So they too are being served the sample ballots to ensure that they teach the community people how to mark the ballot.
And if I may add, there has been a series of consultations with different stakeholder groups. And I know in recent times, of course, one issue has been how to mark the ballot. That's been one message that has been going forth by our CVE section.
And one thing that maybe, I don't know if everyone knows that, but there are three different kinds of elections that are going to be held on the 10th of October. You know, the presidential, the senatorial, and the representative election. We did three, would there be in three different categories, three different papers that voters will be having, or how is it going to be done? Describe and give us some mental picture of this sample ballot or how the ballots will look like.
Mr. Cole,
okay, so basically, the ballots will be colored to separate them. For the presidency, you will have a red color. For the Senate, we'll have blue. And for the House of Representatives, we'll have green color. Correspondingly, the ballot boxes will also be marked red for the president, blue for the Senate, and green for the House of Representatives, so that they can be distinguished. Yeah.
So at the end of this,
there's not going to be any confusion about that.
With all that you do and all the millions being given, at the end of it, it will reach and will be strictly boiled down to the ballot paper, the usage of it. There are others who have factor thumb, because you're talking about three kinds of way to mark, and most people will choose to use a thumbprint. How will you consider those who want to use their print, the thumbprint, and they get bigger and the space matching that is adjacent the candidate they want to vote for? What if those who have the bigger thumbprint and the ink spill over? You want to teach how to do this? That this invalid vote, I'm concerned about this, because at the end of it, you will have more invalid votes as compared to having real ones.
The thing here is that we have conducted elections over and over, and we anticipate that most of those who probably will be voting in these elections have done that before. For those who have not, the word is out showing people how to mark the ballots. And to mark the ballot, you have a little box on the side of the candidate's photo. Posters are out there that says to you there are three ways you can mark the ballot: either your thumbprint, your check, or the X. And you are marking the ballot in the middle of that little box that is beside the candidate, making sure that you don't spill over whichever mark you put in that box, so that your ballot is not an invalid one.
How do you create access for people with special conditions, like PWDs and the blind? How do you create access to them?
So
do you have special, ballot papers to accommodate them, because they have the right to vote as well?
Yeah, sure, we do. I earlier mentioned the tactile ballot.
Okay.
That's used by people who are visually impaired. Our gender section has been doing a lot of work with PWDs, and of course engaging them and giving them basic information relating to the conduct of the polls. And more besides, at the polls, they are encouraged to carry people of trust to assist them if need be.
People of trust. How do you determine that?
Well, that's not for us to say, because they are the ones who are going to be recommending them. Because We used to, in time past, say the presiding officer should provide the assistance, but that became an issue. And so we went back again, recalibrated, and said, okay, you can bring somebody that you trust, to help you in the process. Yes. And as a matter of fact, they are given preference when they are in queue.
Okay, people with special conditions, you
Right.
just get to the queue and then they create access
They
for
are
you to
usually
vote.
brought to the front of the line.
I will go
But,
to
but also too, we are looking into continuing the trainings that we normally have with people living with disabilities. How to, the marking of the tactile ballot.
Yeah.
And we hope that in another week or two we may arrive at that, so that they get this training of how to mark their ballot, which is tactile. It's a special effect that is put on the paper, and those, of course, who can read it,
The Braille, yeah.
yeah, the braille, thank you, will be able to do it. The challenge with that is that, does every PWD know how to read braille? This is something that the commission cannot teach. So those who can read braille will probably be the ones benefiting from this training, so that they go back and train the people, the rest of the other Liberians who need that kind of service.
All right, if you just joined us, we are halfway through the program right here on State Radio. This is Elections Update on Elbc Radio. We are here with the Chairperson of the National Elections Commission, Honorable Davidetta Lanasanah, and also Sam B. Cole, the Deputy Executive Director for Administration, and Tete Pusa, the Fee Coordination Director. My colleague from ECOWAS Radio, Say Tikwad, is also here. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion. We also open the telephone lines so that you can call in, ask the questions, as the elections officials here provide answers for them. Please stay with us. Don't go away.
This is the time we come together to keep our country fit forever. So open up your heart, let us show love camaraderie. God is what we need to make a stand. Let's understand.
All right, welcome back to the program. If you are out there listening to this program, you can call in on 080-514-096, 080-514-096, and have your say on the program. Very shortly, we'll be opening the telephone line so that you can have your say on the program. Let's look at some of the calendar of events leading to the polling day. When are we expecting to see the publication of the various polling precinct and polling places? Can you provide more information on that? And also, you can explain to us the difference between those different centers, the precinct, polling place, and others. You want to come in with that?
So all of these preparations are underway.
Okay.
Yes. Currently, anything we put on our website is published, means that it is published. So our website is one of the places that we publish our documents. And on that website, you have the polling places already uploaded in the past weeks. So if anyone wants to access to know the polling places, they can go to our website. Also on the website, we have maps of the 15 counties with each electoral district, as well as we have the voter registration centers or election or the voting centers, which are 2,080 precincts. We have the voter registration final figures also on our website, including the preliminary figures per voter registration center also on our website. So anyone wishing to know the information can go to the website where you have www.necliberia.org.
Okay, say you want to come in?
Yeah, let's spend a little bit of time on those guys who will be representing the core workers of the National Elections Commission who are considered temporary staff who will be in the field. Now, the recruitment process, Semco, you are the deputy, executive director for administration and also chairperson of the Strategic Communication Committee. Tell us the recruitment process. Who are those, and how far have you gone with the recruitment process?
Paper-based recruitment to automated recruitment, meaning computer-based recruitment. So nowadays, beginning with the BVRO, we recruit using a recruitment portal where interested candidates have to apply using the portal. And that has been the case. For the conduct of the election for temporary staff, we are recruiting a little over 30,000 staff. And that process of recruitment application ended ever since. And then we've been doing shortlisting. Our staff, permanent staff from the headquarters and ministerial staff, we pair them for the purposes of checks and balances. So they have now concluded the shortlisting process. Between the 15th and the 20th, we will be publishing the short list of candidates that have been qualified to go for training. Being qualified to go for training does not automatically qualify you that you work on election day. The final decision will be made based on your ability to be trained. Okay, so final assessment will be made at that.
How long would the training last? Do you think you have time in your favor?
So that I just told you that what is happening at the headquarters is the beginning of the cascade training. Cascade meaning various levels of training. So the magistrates and the other staff are being trained to train the electoral supervisors, who will also help in the training of the rest of the staff. So we expect that in the next 2 weeks, the training of the temporary staff will start in the field.
So there are how many that you will be recruiting?
I just said a little over 30,000.
30,000.
Yeah.
Well, how these 30,000 that will be in the field, you have promised and told the world that you will conduct free, fair, transparent, credible, violence-free, all of the adjective kind of elections that you will be doing. And you will be working with temporary staff who will be in the field. How credible are they and will they be to help you conduct credible elections?
So
That's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
But you can add to it.
Yeah.
It is the expectation that when we deploy these Liberians to the field, they will abide by all of the rules, all of the standards put in place to conduct free, fair, and credible elections. This is the expectation. Yeah.
So if they fall short, will you take the blame?
We have to, because we deploy them to the field. But like we say, they are the ones actually conducting the process.
And are you taking into consideration political neutrality when you're training them? Because these 30,000 people, young people, could be party enthusiasts that could be infused into the process. Are you considering political neutrality? Is that something that is fully part of the training?
Obviously, once you decide to work for the commission, you now have to deny your affiliation with any political party. And if, as a matter of fact, they take oath from the very beginning. Additionally, we provide close monitoring and supervision as they work. In addition, of course, to the party agents that will be at the polls and observers both local and international observers that will be there. The Election Commission itself will provide very close supervision and monitoring to ensure that the right things are done.
But it's also obvious that any obvious partisan who presents him or herself through this process would not participate. Once it is brought to our attention, we get you out, as we did for the biometric photo registration. When there were issues around you that tended to compromise the integrity of the process, we weed you out.
Yep.
And you may not have the time to replace them immediately.
No, because hold on, don't worry about that. When you put applications out there, you want a specific number, but then the applications come and it's overflowing of the number of persons.
So you have people on
So you
standby.
have people who probably will not be selected the first time, and you have a backup plan and because people can get sick also. Yeah, those who will probably be shortlisted and make it to run the elections in the field. Some of them will get sick, and when they get sick, it means that we have to replace them. So it's the same measure we take when someone does not abide by what they should. We take them out of the system and we replace them.
Okay, a reminder that you can also follow this program on LNTV Live. There's our social media page, LNTV Live. You can follow this program. Call us on 080514096. It seems we have our first caller on the line. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, your name and where you calling us from?
Yeah, my name is from Dallas. I call for my rehab resident. Let me appreciate my theater brand Lanasanah and her team this year. I listened to her in the question I put to her. But I have a concern. When it comes to the ruling party and the unity party, if you look on Facebook, like we call Twitter, our barrel have been used by the unity party to put that candidate sticker by it. So in case of anything happens tomorrow, that it belongs to on Sunday, we dream people. That's my question I have for the commission is still there.
I'm not sure if
I don't understand the question.
Yeah, the question is not clear. Probably you can call back and ask your question again. Hello?
Good afternoon. Big brother Francis Pelena.
Yeah.
And let me say afternoon to your studio guests. My name is Mark Doko, and I'm the Deputy Secretary General for Records and Research, Revolutionary National Youth CDC Moscow Chapter. Well, let me use this platform to appreciate you, Big Brother Francis Pelena, for opening your doors to men in China in the June dream of jelly. But basically, I want to speak to the commissioner. My grandmother is not disabled. She's not visually impaired, but she's aging. Can I take her to the polls to cast her vote, or to carry her behind the ballot box as she casts her vote? Because she's not literate. She's illiterate. So these are the questions. And secondly, you said people who are trained on the job, when you notice that they are a partisan of XYZ party, you will immediately change them. So for those who you're changing, would they be trained? Because those who are trained previously, you already noticed that they are partisans. So will you train them again? Thank you.
Okay, let's take another caller. Then we can go back to the guest in studio. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Yeah. I have a question, and this question is very important.
All questions are very important here.
Yeah. This is very important. We have because these are the things that it costs out when it comes to to election.
Well, I'm afraid please change your location so that we can get a clear understanding of what you want to say. Hello?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the people of Liberia. My name is O.P. O'Neill Johnson, and I joined the conversation with the headquarters of the Veterans Bureau in Docomen this afternoon.
Go ahead.
Let me appreciate the chairpersons of the National Elections Commission for
her eloquent presentation. I'd like to encourage Nec boss for Nec to be more engaging, especially in terms of community awareness, so as to inform our people on Nec regular activity. Because if we must alleviate the issues of what we call invalid vote, it means there must be more awareness created in this community. For those community, I haven't seen agent of Nec going to those community, sensitizing our people.
Yeah, but
on how to vote.
my brother, I think you listen to the chairperson. Nec will not be everywhere. They are community-based organizations that they are working with to do civic education.
But we haven't seen those organizations. So I just hope the door up.
Okay.
The door up so as to have a very peaceful election. Thank you.
And one of the ways is to also listen to this program where you get regular updates. Hello? Hello? Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, let's hear you.
Thank you. And let me say good afternoon to Madam Davidetta Lanasanah. My name is Andrew Moses, and I joined the conversation for Electoral District 13. And let me appreciate her for updating us as per our upcoming election. But I want to get certain clarity from her quickly. About 2 weeks ago, one of the candidates that was certificated by the National Election Commission in District number 11 was taken to court on the issue of domicile. And the case went against him. His name is Thomas Nimeni Jr. I want to understand whether the National Election Commission will reform the money that he used to register and every other thing that he was asked to provide before he was certificated as a candidate, whether it will be reformed.
Okay. Thanks ever so much. Let's go to the guest in studio. Your thoughts on some of the issues raised by the callers so far.
All right, I will begin and then my colleagues can take on some of the other questions. With respect to the last question, the candidate went through a process and this went to court. But also to say that I think the question there is whether we are going to refund the money. We say no. Go ahead.
It's part of the law.
Yeah.
The registration money non-refundable.
I'm not even going to go there. It's not the law, but he went through the process.
Okay.
So one question asks about casting the ballot.
For the agent.
I think they talk about that. When the person is very old, the person has a right to ask someone to help them behind the booth. Yes, to cast the ballot. You also talk about replacing people on election day, people who will misbehave, who will not do well. When we know that you are trying to be partisan, we can replace you. And what we do is that we don't only take the exact number of people that's supposed to work to training. What we do, we have a buffer that we have people who will be trained and on standby. So in case of any such issue, we just call them right away. We just call them in right away to work. Yeah. And like the chair said, this is not the first time they're doing this. We've been doing it over and over. And we know exactly what to do in those kind of cases.
What is the difference?
And you know, there was this concern about awareness reaching to one community.
Okay. In their community.
Yes. It's good that we get the information so that if there's anything that we can elevate to ensure that there's awareness in that community and other communities will endeavor to do so. But I think generally they were saying that there's need for more awareness, whether in that community or all around the country. So we over the days to come, as we get closer, we will increase the awareness.
So the community radio stations that you signed this MOU with, are they running similar programs like Elbc is doing right now?
We've always had MOUs with radio stations, and even in the rural parts of Liberia. All of our information go through the magisterial offices and they get on the radio. We have jingles, we have public service announcements. You just name it. People should start listening. If you're not a listener for radio, you should start listening. We put some things in the newspaper, but again, our website. We live in a technology age, and a lot of people have these phones, so it's easy to just go there.
Social media.
Media, and get some of the information. And those who perhaps may not be able to do so, that's the reason why we have these NGOs or CBOs, you call them, going into inner communities and talking to the people, telling them about the rights to vote, telling them about the different information that we have out there, raising their awareness on how to correctly mark the ballots. So we are on top of it. What we should all have in mind is that civic and voter education for any purposes at this time. We know that it's crucial, but it's also a bit difficult because we may not be able to get in all of the communities at the same time. This is why we have the different media that we use to beef up, the awareness raising around the country.
And
Okay.
if I may add, the issue of rendering assistance to voters is part of our procedures. And so it's just important for the public to understand that, say, if you went on election day and you saw maybe somebody being brought to the front of the line in such category, it's acceptable because we have that in our procedures.
Okay. Let's take more calls and get their consents. Hello? Hello? Good afternoon. Okay, we're going to take this one. Hello?
Good afternoon.
Yeah? You are live on Elections Update?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. I'm calling from Pacos Island.
Go ahead. Your name first.
Yeah. My name's Sadatu Smith. Yeah, thank you for them coming in studio and then giving us all of those ideas. But for us here on the Pacos Island, we haven't seen anybody coming around. Nobody has come around here to tell us anything. Nobody has come around here. We even see the election paper set here. I won't talk about people. So please, let them do their best because we have so many old people here. So many old people will gather here that we need that kind of education.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask her where is Pacos Island?
Pacos Island is in district number 10, I think.
Behind
Ministerial complex.
Okay,
right?
so you know.
Yeah.
That means we can see about
Make some follow-up.
Yeah, follow up.
Let's take this column. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah?
Yeah, my Francis, calling from Johnsonville.
Go ahead, Francis.
Okay. I want to know how prepare the National Election Commission when it comes to logistics, especially for the South Southeast, and most often only our rural areas, so we know the rainy season. So I don't want to address that.
Challenges of the road condition. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure the Nec Chair will respond to that. Hello? Hello? Yes?
Hello?
Go ahead, you are live on the program.
Thank you. My name is Emmanuel. I join you from Kingsway. Yeah, I want to ask the Commission Institute concerning about the threat coming from the opposition and for what the Election Commission doing about in that direction.
What?
The threats are coming from the opposition community. What the Election Commission doing?
How do you know that there is threat coming from the opposition? What is it? Speak specifically to any situation that you want to talk about.
Like example, on a record by Foundation number 10.
Saying what?
That when the election when you go back in the bush, I want to know what the community what they doing about that.
I don't know. Let me take more callers. Maybe the next chair can respond to that, but I'm sure that could be an isolated issue. Hello?
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Your name and where you calling us from?
Thank you. My name is Emmanuel M. Super Jr. and I join you for my residence into community.
Okay.
Let me say
afternoon to the Election Commission of Professor Lanasanah and our team in Syria. Well, my question here is about electoral violence. Since we are approaching October 10, we have less than some 20 days to the election. I want to know from the Election Commissioner if there is any rigorous, rules or policy place, for electoral violence, especially against political parties or political officials who are making discriminatory, against the democratic.
You have to get away from your radio. Let me just take this final call. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes? Let's hear you.
Am I still on the line?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was kind of asking the election commissioner boss if there is any policy place on board to prevent political party or officials from making inflammatory statements before the election, because we have observed over time where political parties, party standard bearers and party officials take onto radio platform and they are making a whole lot of, accusation, in fact, threatening the peace of this country. So my concern to the election commissioner is there any kind of guideline they are putting up that anyone who comes on public media and platform without evidence to make this kind of egregious statement against our peace or against the peace of this country, is there any punishment for these political parties? Because we want to save our country, we want to protect the democracy of our country.
Okay, I think your points are clear. We're going to be getting reactions now from our studio guests.
That last question on electoral violence and whether threats, in fact there's a policy and what the punishment will be. Let me say that since the 4th of April, the Farmington River Declaration was signed by all political parties, committing themselves to a peaceful, non-violent elections. We'd like to hold them to that. With respect to punishment, because this is a commitment, it doesn't really carry punishment per se. What it does is that if you make a commitment, it is expected that you will live up to that commitment. So where there's not respect for what is committed to, then of course, even within the Farmington River Declaration, it says that any aggrieved party can also use the law to address whatever is meted against an individual candidate or a political party or what have you. So the expectation is that those who perhaps may be aggrieved by such should take the law and pursue, their grievances or redress through that means. But let me say that all Liberians have the responsibility to ensure a non-violence process in these elections. And where in one of the callers talk about threats from opposition community, I don't know of any threats. The commission does not know of threats. Anything that is threats should be channeled through the security and the law. And any individual who may have said anything that seemed to threaten anybody else perhaps need to go back to the law to get that redress.
The challenges of the roads, Southeast, and mobilization of logistics.
We say that we are prepared logistically, despite the challenges that we see in the terrain, in terms of how we deploy our materials and staff to the field. But we also know that there are challenges in some of these areas. So what we've done, we have procured vehicles through our budgetary appropriation. And we also have a process where we hire vehicles to convey our materials. If there are any other challenges that could perhaps stall or prevent or slow our deployment down, we are in a position to take care of that.
Okay, so maybe you can ask your final question, then we'll wrap up.
Before we leave, the commission has set time without number that where you register is where you will vote. And I'm concerned because I have a lot of journalists who want to send in the field, and they didn't register where some of them will find themselves. What provisions do you have for them, including security, who did not register, where they're going to be assigned? What will you say for them? Or are you going to let them, be free out of the whole process?
Okay. So we usually say you will vote to where you register, but of course we have exceptional cases. And as you know, we are having 3 elections. The HOR is the electoral district. The Senate, of course, is the county, and then the president is the nation. So we have exception for persons who have got special assignments. But let me be quick to say that if you are assigned to a particular district, say for an example, a police officer who is assigned outside of the district where he registered, that preference is given to him as a police officer on a special assignment. Yeah. And also our own staff, sometimes where they register may not be where they will be assigned, so those are special cases.
So in that case, you'd only vote for president?
Yes. You vote for president and of course the Senate.
Okay.
But if you were assigned to your district, but you may not necessarily be assigned to the center where you register, you can also be allowed to vote for the representative.
Do a follow-up quickly.
Yeah.
Registered in Montserrat County.
Right.
In District 1. And I'm assigning you to Reverses. So how do you compensate for the person voting?
You will only be allowed to vote for the president. That's our procedure.
Wow.
And let me also be quick to add that
maybe we can reserve the discussion for next week because we are out of time.
That would be difficult. Please allow him to say this last part because it's crucial.
Okay.
It's crucial because the Supreme Court in one of its ruling defined the category of people that will be allowed to vote in those cases.
Right.
And the journalists who will be independent journalists who will be assigned. I'm not sure whether they are part of that category because we don't want. Yes, they are not covered in that ruling, and we can't do anything that is outside of the Supreme Court ruling.
Okay, that's what I said. We'll discuss more about that. Maybe you have to bring the listing so that journalists, because it is of interest to journalists who will be following the elections. Madam Chair, let's get a closing comment from you in just a few seconds.
So the National Elections Commission want to say a big thank you to the Liberia Broadcasting System for this support to get our messages out there. We also want to say to the Liberian people that we are prepared to conduct these elections. And we implore you to also be prepared. Make sure you have your card because there will be no other replacement process. If you lose your card now, you would not vote on elections day. And on elections day, we implore you to come out early, go through your process, vote where you register. The difference here will be that those of you who may have registered multiple times, the first place that you register will be the place that you will vote. If you go anywhere else, the FRR, that is the final registration roll, will have you in the back of that polling place final registration roll, pointing you back to the first place that you register. So please take heed, and we say thank you to all Liberians for all the support. We're ready for you, and we expect you to play your part on Elections Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the Chairperson of the National Elections Commission, Madam Davidetta Lanasanah. She has been here on the maiden edition of the program Elections Update, along with two of her staff, Madam Davidetta, the Fee Coordination Director, and Sam B. Cole, Deputy Executive Director for Administration. My colleague Seitiko has been here as well from ECOWAS Radio. My name is Francis Pauline, and saying thanks for being there, and we have a pleasant talk.